Who will the Part 2 LR be for the Transcendent Dokkan campaign? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We are back for another Dokkan battle video. In today's video, we are taking a look at the Feeling the Heat Transcendent Dokkan campaign and trying to figure out who will be the Part 2 LR. After all, he's going to be dropping in just about a week from the release of this video. So in this video, we're going to break that down, who we think it could be based on the available evidence. So first, let's start with when this is going to happen. All right, so we can take a look here at the Dragonstone sales and the Elder banner. Both are leaving on the 11th at 4:59 a.m. and on the 10th at 6:59 p.m. Now, typically Dokkan doesn't leave any more than 24 hours from the removal of both of these things before bringing a new banner out. So you can safely assume that a week from this, the release of this video, we should be summoning for whatever is the Part 2. More than likely a Carnival LR. But the question is, what will it be? Now, a lot of people have jumped on the Wrathful Broly train. After all, he is part of the title screen, and of course with Part 1 being Gogeta and Frieza, it makes sense that Part 2 should follow suit, being related to Dragon Ball Super. After all, Tanabata campaigns typically work this way, right? There's an overarching arc theme to them usually, right? In 2023 we had the GT celebration. Although Baby wasn't the Part 2 but rather Omega, it still followed the overall GT theme. Last year we had UI Goku, and the Part 2 being his opposite Jiren. The year prior to this one, we had Vegeta and Trunks, with their opposite being LR infused Zama. So if we are to keep with tradition with this campaign being and remember that this is the redo of the Tanabata campaign, just to be clear, Part 2 would make sense to be some form of like Wrathful Broly or like Broly Imperious or something if they want to keep the tag theme. However, I mean, Dokkan has shown us that we can't really expect any of the same things from these new types of celebrations. GDC, the replacement from Worldwide, was widely different than any Worldwide we'd have ever had before in the way it was structured. Same goes for Anniversary. Golden Week was a little more or less the same, although they did give us Carnival LR during that time. So it's very likely we can see something very different than what we would normally expect. And in fact, I do think that Part 2 will not be Dragon Ball Super Broly, and for a couple of reasons. Number one, right, in the data we know that the background music for Blizzard is leaving on the 12th, and that's on the 11th my time, so around the same time that the Dragonstone sales are leaving. And typically, right, if this were to be Dragon Ball Super Broly the whole way through, they'd just keep the background music, but instead they are removing Blizzard. Now, if I am not mistaken, they have, in all the times that they've done Super Broly, right, for like 9th anniversary, they did keep Blizzard the whole way through until it became a different celebration. And I don't think they've used any other background music for Dragon Ball Super Broly as part of any celebration. So I think if they were going to keep it, they would keep Blizzard, right, and not use any other things. So with this leaving, would suggest to me that they're probably not gonna do Super Broly. Now, with that in mind, well, then what could they do? Well, I mean, if we're trying to keep an overarching consistent theme, it really depends on what it is, because they didn't give us much to work off of here. But, right, an odd choice of colors here definitely leads me to think that it's very possible we could see something related to Dragon Ball Superhero, and that is, right, that is mostly based on the available EZAs, right? Unless they decide to go with Resurrection of F, right, or some other sort of area. The only real movie type EZAs that are left are either the Cooler movie, which would be odd, a odd segue, or right, really any of the Z films, right, coming from Super Broly would be odd. However, the next in line, right, if just the theme is both of the superhero films, then we could see something like a Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 as the LR. I don't think they'll burn through like Gohan and Piccolo tag, right? But I could see a tag Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, and then Easy A-ing the Gammas here to work with them, right? Like that would work perfectly as a part 2, and I think that is a very, very likely scenario. Like I said, I don't think they'll burn Beast and Piccolo here, although a standalone Orange Piccolo would be nice here. A standalone Orange Piccolo would be nice. I don't think they'll burn that here either. He seems like something a lot more hype than just this throwaway, well, I don't want to say throwaway campaign, but I don't think they'd waste him here as a part 2 LR. So that is one possibility, and I do think that it's a very likely possibility. However, there's a few things that make me think it might just be something else, and that is the release of this Dragon Ball story here. Now, this Dragon Ball story is just the redo of the Bardock Special story, right? So, typically, when we get these campaigns, if it's a major campaign, the Dragon Ball story is usually related to the theme or the arc that they're covering, right? Sometimes during monthly celebrations, we'll get like a random Dragon Ball story thrown in, but not when it comes to these big celebrations. So this being thrown in here at random seems off. Unless you start looking at the release of the free-to-play unit that comes with it, right? The free-to-play unit that comes with it is, they could have done, right, Frieza or something, and then he could have worked with like a Wicked Bloodline sort of variation team or Terrifying Conquerors, but they decided to do the Vegeta, which is cool, but he's not on Frieza's lead, and nor is he on any major lead as of late, except for the Hybrids lead, and even then he's only on their 170. So this is a really, really interesting choice. However, if we consider that the part 2 might not be related to Dragon Ball Super Broly, but instead, right, you guys have probably already seen the picture because I've accidentally clicked on it a couple of times, but instead if they did sort of a Pure Saiyans lead through a Bardock and Goku tag unit, it might just work. It would give him a home, right? And it would also give us a place to Easy A the Tech Bardock, which seems more likely than doing a batch Easy A of the Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, or even what people were thinking if it was Movie Heroes again or Super Broly again, that they would just Easy A the cooler movie Easy A's. That seems like a lot for such a small celebration like this. Remember, this is not worldwide, this is not Anniversary, this is Tanabata, which typically doesn't get that many Easy A's, although last year was a bit of an exception. I don't think they're going to do that again, because burning through 4 Easy A's here would be crazy, but I could see them going Bardock and Goku, which then would open this guy's Easy A up. Heck, it would even open Raditz' Easy A up if they didn't want to burn Bardock right now, but I could definitely see something like this. There's also obviously new stories. The next something that we haven't gotten in a while was the next quest mode stages, and if you guys have actually been paying attention to the quest mode, right, they're currently working with Team Bardock, right? So we could easily get a drop from a new character drop to also coincide with a Bardock and Goku type deal, right? This seems like a really odd, even the support memory that comes with it, right? The support memory here, buffing low-class warrior, like there's literally no low-class warriors you can run right now. So like, why even have the support memory? Unless they plan on releasing a character that would be on it, and if it is a Bardock and Goku, or even if they did it after the actual model, which is a Super Saiyan Goku, right, it could still have low-class warrior if it's a tag unit. So this could be really cool, and I do think that this is a this is the second likely option, and is the option that I want more than the first likely option, which is just, you know, Dragon Ball superhero. But regardless, I do think Broly is out simply due to the removal of the background music. I think they would have kept it if they were going to continue the theme here. But who's to say? Like I said, if anything this year has taught us that these campaigns, anything goes. Whatever predictions we could have made, like if we were following all of the info that we had, I don't think anybody could have predicted Frieza and Gogeta for part 1 of this campaign. So, you know, take whatever we say here with a grain of salt, but I do think that these are some of the likely options, right? Goku and Bardock as a tag unit, Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 as a tag unit, or, I mean, heck, if they do decide to stick with Broly, I could see something like Wrathful Broly as a standalone, or Broly and Paragus. So, guys, that is it for our video. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let us know, who do you think the Part 2 LR is going to be? I'm rooting for Bardock and Goku, but I'd love to hear what you guys come up with in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.